Today I am talking about balancing your personal beliefs about child rearing with those of your friends, family, and culture. What do you do when well-meaning mother-in-laws or strangers at the park either, one, give you unsolicited advice, two, criticize a parenting decision that you're making, or three, just do things very differently than you would when they're around your child? To answer this prompt, I'm going to share some specific things that you can do or say in response to these situations. But in general, I just wanted to highlight that my approach to this topic, like many other topics we discuss here, is motivated by, can you guess? Yes, trust and respect. We want to show the adults in the world the same level of trust and respect that we show our children. No matter what we're talking about here, it's about putting the relationship first and acknowledging feelings while still standing confidently in our own decisions and being patient with the other person. But how do you do that in the moment when it comes to differing parenting styles? Let's say that you receive some unsolicited advice, or someone just really wants to tell you about how they raised their children. So fun, right? My favorite go-to responses in moments like that are, "Thank you for sharing that with me," or "I hear that that is really important to you," or "It sounds like you're really glad you made that decision for your family." And what I love about responses like this is that they are kind. They are a reflection that you truly listened to what the other person said and that you respect their ideas. At the same time, you're acknowledging that what they shared can exist completely separate from your parenting journey. You see, I actually think that we can have our cake and eat it too. We can honor someone's choice and still make our own. We never even have to get into our stuff. We just hear the other person and move on. It's a really safe way of responding to advice. But now let's say somebody directly criticizes something you are doing with your child. You're probably going to feel angry and defensive, and that is totally understandable. Let those feelings be. Additionally, I want to challenge you to remember that this is evidence of the other person's strong beliefs. They have a position that they really care about. You happen to be right there at the time when they need to share it. And the simple fact that you are parenting in an alternative way feels threatening to their beliefs. But you do not have to fall into their trap and do the same sort of thing. Honestly, you don't even have to spend any energy defending your decisions, unless, of course, you're both genuinely interested in engaging in an ideas sharing conversation. If not, you can just say something like, "Yeah, we do things differently, and that feels strange to you." Or, "You've got really strong opinions about that." Or, "We're making the best choice for our family, just like you did for yours." And lastly, one of my favorite things to say is, "Thanks for sharing, but it's not up for discussion." See, those responses affirm the other person while protecting you and your decisions. And you completely avoid taking the bait, aka engaging in the issue that they want to fight about. You hold that power to disengage. Another way that you might experience a difference in parenting styles is when somebody interacts directly with your child. So let's say that maybe you're at the park and another mom tells your child, "Share nicely or I'm going to take your toys away," as they play with another toddler in the sandbox. Or maybe it's a grandparent scooping up your child and saying, "Give grandpa a kiss," without any sort of warning. If these are uncomfortable situations for you and your child, I advise you to actually keep your attention on your child in those moments. It's so tempting to launch into a speech about the emotional and intellectual capacity of a 2-year-old when it comes to sharing, or about respecting body autonomy. But even if we're totally justified, the chances are it's not going to land well. And rather than educating someone and getting them on the same page, they're probably going to feel insulted and defensive. So for that reason, I say focus on your child. If they look to you for some sort of explanation or reassurance about what's happening, you can just say, "Did that confuse you?" Or, "That was a little surprising. Are you not wanting to be picked up right now?" That will deflect the attention from the potentially embarrassed adult and actually help them build the skill of attunement with young children that you have, right? You notice your child's experience and you see it as valid and worth respecting. At the same time, it's helping the person who needs it the most, and that's your little one. You want to help them through this weird moment because they're the ones who really need the support. Of course, if something is really obviously bothering your child, you can step in and just politely say, "I think she's just not comfortable being held right now." But otherwise, I would say err on the side of a more indirect response. Then, outside of any situation where you find yourself disagreeing or being critiqued, you can of course talk about parenting philosophies. But do so only if you're really feeling like you can share from a calm and neutral place. You feel like listening to the other person and really hearing what they have to say, and you get the sense that that other person is in the same mood, ready for the same sort of conversation. Okay, so last other quick tips for navigating these differences. 1, in general, we want to model versus preach. When you're at a play date or a family gathering, do what you would just naturally do and let others observe you in action, and observe how your child responds to being treated with trust and respect. We can often forget that one of the most powerful teaching tools is simply us being ourselves and showing up authentically in the world. 2, find like-minded people to spend time with. Build your support group with people who really appreciate your style of parenting and hang out with them a lot. Let your village reassure you that you are doing great despite any pushback that you might be getting. 3, remember that things get easier over time. Grandparents will adjust to your way of doing things, and differences just kind of become less evident after the toddler years. So if you're feeling like those first couple of years postpartum are a real struggle in navigating different styles, it's often good to remind ourselves that this too shall pass. And then 4, lastly, know that as the primary caregiver, you are having the greatest influence on your child's well-being. If you really believe that your style is benefiting your little one's emotional, cognitive, physical, and social development, then you can rest easy. They're going to do great. And if ever your child comes to you with distress about some sort of treatment they received from somebody else in the outside world, listen to them. Acknowledge their feelings, make the space for that discomfort, because we can't stop them from experiencing upsets in life, but we can be there for them when those things happen. So that's it for today. I hope this was helpful. If you have any more questions or thoughts to add on this topic, please comment below. I love hearing your unique take on the ideas that we share here.